It's crazy how a select amount of government officials have created this stereotype about us so that you can choose to look the other way and ignore the injustice that's happening right now. We don't get to choose where we are born, but we do get to choose how we treat others.
And I always had said from the beginning with the e.l.f. benefit one that e.l.f. was going to win that one because it wasn't close enough. But y'all, this one, that's real close. That's really, really close. They uncovered in Iran this lipstick that was 4,000 years old. Well, this past week, researchers found a very similar artifact. They found actual real leftover eye makeup that is about 2,700 years old. Yes, they did. Hello, my friend. Welcome back to What's Up in Makeup, where we talk about everything that happened across the beauty industry, all in one place. I've compiled it all for you so you can have it in a nice package so you know what's going on. But before I tell you what happened this past week, we do need to take a moment to thank this week's sponsor. This video is very kindly sponsored by one of my favorite skincare brands, Typology. Typology is a vegan and cruelty-free skincare brand that focuses on giving you a simple ingredient list with the best, most effective science-backed ingredients without all the extras. The focus is to give you long-term effects, and sometimes they give you a little bit of tint to go with it to make you look extra fabulous. It's coming up on summertime here in the US, and the last thing I want in the summertime is a full face of makeup that I'm just gonna sweat off anyway. I just want my skin to look good. You know what I mean? Something that just takes my natural skin and just bumps it up a notch. Today I'm using Typology skincare to get a gorgeous summer glow, starting with the 9-ingredient moisturizer. But before I put it on, I'm gonna mix a bit of the glow drops and the bronzing drops in it to set it off. The glow drops have vitamin C in them, which is a fabulous antioxidant. And with this product, you're getting both instant and long-lasting glow. Then we're gonna add in the bronzing drops. This gives a buildable sun-kissed glow without the UV damage and the bonus of vitamin E and apricot extract. And then I'm going to use just a little bit of the replenishing lip balm with ceramides and hyaluronic acid and plum purple to add just a little bit of extra color to my cheeks. I think this makes all the difference. And finally, I'm going to use my love, my tinted lip oil in the shade Black Cherry. It has vitamin E and squalane and jojoba oil. It's smooth without being too thick, and it is not sticky at all, just a gorgeous light tinted glow. Let's go ahead and go outside and see how this looks in the sunlight. And you can see how gorgeous and glowy the Typology side is. Plus, I'm getting the skincare benefits while I glow, which I absolutely love. Like I said, it's just that little extra zhuzhing to make me feel a little more put together. If you are interested in trying Typology, I am so excited for you. If you go down to the video description down below, there is a special offer. By clicking that link, you will get a free purifying mask with charcoal and organic nettle that comes with a purchase of $40 or more on the Typology Paris website. Now, the kicker on this though is it only lasts for 1 week after this video goes live, so make sure you place your order by June 22nd to get that free product. Thank you to Typology for sponsoring this video. I love partnering with Typology, not only because I genuinely love the products, but because I get so many comments from you all when I partner with them about how much you love them as well. And it warms my heart. It makes me so happy. So again, link is in the video description if you'd like to take advantage of that offer. And with that being said, my friend, it is now time for What's Up in Makeup. Okay, before we get started with this first story, it is very heavy, and I want to just give you a friendly reminder that there are timestamps down below if you do not want this in your life right now. It's a heavy story. There's a lot going on right now here in the US, and I want to talk about it. Sometimes politics and the cosmetic industry do cross over, and this show is researched, written, edited and produced 100% by me. So in that, things are going to be from my lens, from my value system, from what I believe is right and wrong. Yes, I present to you news stories that I read around the internet, but in the end, I can only produce this show through my lens of my personal values. And if that's not your jam, if that doesn't align with you, I totally get it. It is no problem. I believe 100% in your right to either skip the story or click out of the video or unsubscribe if you feel like that my value system does not match yours. I'm totally with you on that. One of the biggest things happening here in the US is the mass deportations without due process, meaning that they're not given any way of saying, why they should be here in the US. They're not given any kind of trial, any kind of lawyer. They're just being rounded up and deported. And one of the people that was deported pretty early in this process was a man named André Jose Hernandez Romero, and he is a makeup artist from Venezuela. The reason why he was deported was because the people who made that decision incorrectly identified tattoos on his arms as being an identifier of him being in a Venezuelan gang. To be clear, this was their only evidence that he was in this gang was because of these tattoos. I'm going to show them to you. They are crowns. According to an article in the New York Post that was published in late 2024, there are quite a few tattoos that they were saying law enforcement are looking out for in order to find gang members from other countries. The crown is one of them. Other ones included clocks, trains, stars, gas masks, guns, and grenades. All of these could be symbols that you are part of a gang in another country. If you know anything about tattoos, my husband is a tattoo artist, you know that these are, a lot of them, relatively common tattoos, especially when you're talking about guns and stars. I don't know how many gun and star tattoos that I've seen. But the one that shocked me the most was this one. This is the Michael Jordan logo, and they say this is especially a gang-related symbol when the number 23 is below it. According to the right-leaning news source, this is what it says, I quote, "In the Jordan logo, the number refers to 23 de Janeiro, or 23rd of January, a Venezuelan neighborhood that spawned a revolutionary group in the 1980s. Or it could be just Michael Jordan's number, just saying that was Michael Jordan's jersey number. So what about André's specific tattoos? Yes, the crown in Venezuela can be a symbol of being in this gang. However, you have to also take into account, and this is where due process would have been important, that André could have explained that he is in the pageant industry. He works in pageants, and in pageants, they give people crowns. André also was photographed wearing crowns. Crowns were just kind of his thing. Also, if you look at the tattoos, there's the crown, but underneath the crowns are the words mom and dad. I've seen crown tattoos everywhere over any kind of thing that anybody may want to show a sign of respect for. Someone else was deported for a crown over a soccer ball. The person happened to be a soccer player. My point is that our government used just this one point of evidence to say that he was in a gang. It doesn't even appear that they looked into why he was here. André crossed the border into the United States legally, claiming asylum. According to his lawyer, he walked 60 miles of roadless stretch in dense forest between Colombia and Panama to Mexico, where he eventually got an appointment to seek asylum. He got to the border, he followed all of the right ways to seek asylum. And when he got here, in his interview, government officials had found that threats against him were credible and that he had a real probability of winning an asylum claim. He did everything the right way. So you may be asking yourself, well, what was he seeking asylum from? Why was he so afraid? He was afraid of being an openly gay makeup artist in Venezuela. It was not a safe place for him. So where is he gonna go? He's gonna come to the United States where he felt like he would be safer and more protected and also have opportunity to grow as a makeup artist. When André was arrested, he was still going through the legal process of asylum. Again, he was doing it the right way. He has no criminal record here in the US. There was no evidence presented that he was any threat to anyone in the United States, yet he was deported to this El Salvadorian prison back in March. And what is absolutely horrible and terrifying beyond that is that no one has heard from him since. His family has not heard from him. Lawmakers have requested a proof of life, like just prove to us that he's still alive, that he's still okay. Our Secretary of Homeland Security, her name is Kristi Noem, refused in a direct question to confirm Andrew's status.
You and the president have the ability to check if Andrew is alive and if not being harmed. Would you commit at least into looking and asking El Salvador if he is alive?
This is a question that's best asked to the president and the government of El Salvador.
And I think you know very well that you could ask that question. What you are choosing to do, Madam Secretary, is disregard this young man's life, this young man's family, who was given an appointment by the United States. I think it is shameful that you won't even request to see if this young man is alive. His family has no idea, has no access to lawyers. I would hope that we would have the humanity to just check if this young man is okay. With that, I yield back. It's shameful.
But if you have watched US news lately, you know that this is going way beyond just Andrew's story and the stories that were made public back in March. On the campaign trail, our current president promised mass deportations, and he is following through on that.
We will begin removing the more than 2 million criminal illegal immigrants from the country. Deport all criminal aliens and dismantle every last criminal gang and cartel threatening our citizens. Drug dealers, gang heads, gang members, killers.
But what he had said on the campaign trail was that he was going to deport criminals, people who were a threat to our country. He did not specifically say he was just going to deport regular people. He wanted to deport criminals, but he is going way beyond that. For example, they arrested a woman named Carol. She's a waitress in Missouri. They arrested a boy named Marcelo Gomez da Silva. He's an 18-year-old in Massachusetts who was literally on his way to his high school volleyball practice when they pulled him over and arrested him and put him in jail. They also threatened to deport a 4-year-old girl and her mother. She is here on a medical visa because she has a very rare condition that without this treatment, she will literally die in days. That is why she was here. They were going to deport her. But what happened that switched it around for all three of these people was that people spoke up. There were people that were protesting locally. The news media covered these three stories very loudly and clearly, and all three of them were able to return to their lives. My point in saying all of this is that this goes beyond what was said on the campaign trail. This is cruel and it is awful and it should not be happening. I have read the opposing side on this, and one of the things people say is, well, deportations have happened under so many presidents, Democratic and Republican, and you're absolutely right. The difference is due process. The difference is that there is a legal way to deport people. There is a way that you go through where you allow the person to have a lawyer and speak for themselves and say why they should remain here legally. If they cannot prove that, then they are deported. That is what people are not getting, is that due process, which is what makes these deportations very different and very alarming and awful. And in the case of Andrew, he was deported wrongly, and we don't even know if he's still alive. This man did not do anything wrong. And our government did that to him. That's the problem. Unlike with the Black Lives Matter protests in 2020, the beauty space has been very quiet when it comes to the things that are happening politically in our country right now. But last week, that started to change a little bit, in that I did start seeing some brands and some influencers start speaking out. The first person I saw was OG YouTuber Manny MUA. He does have Mexican heritage. I do want to play you the video that he put up on his social media last week.
Please do not let your privilege cloud your empathy. Just because it's not your struggle does not mean people do not struggle with it. What's happening right now in Los Angeles and all across the country with these ICE raids is absolutely horrific. And if you cannot empathize with families being ripped apart, I truly don't know what to tell you. You need to have a long look in that mirror and figure out why the fuck, you're a robot. What's really pissing me off are my DMs of people telling me, we just want you guys to come in legally. You know how fucking ignorant and privileged you sound? It's not so simple for everyone, and it takes years, and it takes a lot of money. So for you to be like, just come over legally, not everyone has that privilege, and not everyone's lucky enough to do that. And let me tell you something else really, really quickly. Mexicans, let me be so free with you. A lot of them, they don't even want to be here. They would rather be with their families. Mexicans that come over here to work and send money back home to their family, do you really think that they want to leave their entire lives behind, all their family behind, to come over here to work and send money over if they didn't have to? They would not leave their entire life behind if they didn't have to do it. They know that coming over here and making more money is going to benefit their family back in Mexico, and that's why they do it. They leave their entire family behind and they work here night and day. They're not coming over here just to be freeloaders. They're some of the hardest working people in the entire world. And I'm so proud and so privileged and so lucky that I myself am Mexican and I've grown up in a Mexican household and I love being Mexican. And if you're the kind of bitch who sees these families being ripped apart and have no empathy for that, unfollow me. And I'm being so f***ing for you right now because you make me sick. Dead ass. So I stand with Mexicans and every other immigrant in this country, point blank period. And guess what? California was Mexico's first. So how are you gonna be immigrants on stolen land? Yeah, that's what I thought.
I also saw very passionate posts by Giselle Hernandez. She is an immigrant herself, and she is the owner and founder of Glamlight Cosmetics.
Illegal immigrants are rapists, pedophiles, murderers, and drug dealers. That's what they say about us. It's crazy how a select amount of government officials have created the stereotype about us so that you can choose to look the other way and ignore the injustice that's happening right now in cities throughout America. As a former undocumented immigrant that came to the United States when I was 3 years old, I know exactly what it feels like to live in fear, to have to constantly be hiding out because you don't know who's going to come after you or what day you're going to be removed from your home. Truth is, we don't get to choose where we are born, but we do get to choose how we treat others and the kind of empathy that we show. The situation where ICE is targeting immigrant cities throughout the United States is something that is literally inhumane. There are children who are as young as toddlers who are having to be detained and represent themselves in immigration court. Children that cannot even write their own names, that do not comprehend what's going on. Families that are being completely stripped apart. Imagine being at your graduation, your child's graduation, and ICE comes to arrest you in front of people. That's what's happening here in America right now. Regardless of how you feel about immigration, what's happening right now, it's inhumane. Innocent human beings are being stripped from their basic human rights. As a former undocumented immigrant, I have the privilege now to be able to use my platform to speak on the matters that are important and things that are really affecting our community. I have received so much hate the past few days for choosing to use my platform to discuss these matters. And let me tell you something, the truth is I don't plan on stopping. Glamlight has always been about supporting pro-immigrants, pro-women rights, gay rights. Well, yeah, remember, I am gay. You forgot that too. Also, Black Lives Matters, yes. Inclusivity. We will always be a force here in the community to make sure that you feel seen, heard, and not only that, accepted, respected, loved. So if any of those things bother you and your values do not align with mine, you're more than welcome to stop supporting me. There's plenty of brands out there that align with your morals and your values that will receive you with open arms. And they will take your money. That's okay with me. I'm okay with losing your money. I'm okay with losing your sales. My values and what I believe is right, and my support and my love for the people, and to believe that together, unity, kindness, that's what makes the world great. I'm not going to change that for a few dollars. So that's just my take on it.
I'm just going to make a plea just very quickly. If you are someone who believes that people who didn't do it the right way should automatically be deported without due process, I want to go ahead and leave some resources down below for you that I really hope that you check out and read and learn a little bit about the process of immigrating to the United States, what it takes, what is it actually like. Those resources are so helpful. They helped me to understand the process a little bit more. Because like I've said 1,000 times before, it's very difficult to put yourself in the shoes of a life that you've never lived. You have to make a conscious choice to seek out that information in order to understand it. And I do feel like the resources down below are really helpful, just factual, this is what it takes to immigrate to the United States. It's just great background information that I really love if you would look at. And when it comes to influencers not speaking out, I honestly understand, especially in the makeup space, why people aren't doing it. It is a personal choice. And again, I'm all about freedom. I believe that every person has a right to either speak out or not. And every person has to judge for themselves what they need to do and what feels right to them. And for a lot of people, going to makeup videos is an escape from politics. And when people speak out, like when I've spoken out about politics, I know there's going to be comments in my comment section about this saying, basically, shut up and dribble. Just talk about makeup. I don't want to hear what you have to say about politics. If I want to hear a political video, I'll go click on a political video. And I have chosen to blatantly ignore those comments because I feel that this is cosmetic industry related, and I feel like this is just human related. This is just something that I'm very passionate about and that I want to talk about, but I understand why other creators are not talking about it, and I do not shame them for it. However, I want to encourage people to really take a good look and think about whether it would be a right fit, whether it's through an Instagram story or a post or a TikTok, just saying how you feel and what your opinion is on what's happening in our country. And I think it could go a long way. It's also educational for your audience to have them know exactly where your values lie so they can see whether their values match up either on the positive or the negative side. Because we have seen through history what happens when people don't speak up. This is the time to say something. This is the time to be loud and vocal and say how you feel, whatever that may be. And the fact is, the louder we are about it, the more we make a stink about it. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. And you look at the stories of Carol and Marcelo and Sophia, who was the little 4-year-old girl. Because people made a big deal of it, that's why they were able to return to their lives. Hopefully one day Andre will come home as well. And I want to personally just thank Manny and Giselle and the other brands that are speaking out right now regarding this. And just thank you so much for using your voice to say how you feel about what's happening. I genuinely hope to see more voices joining us in the future. Whew, okay, are we ready to move on to some more traditional legal stories that I would normally cover? I've got 4 of them for you. And let us just take a second because we can, and because, we like due process and we like, the legal process going the way that it should. Yes, okay. Let's start with DivaCurl. So there's a new class action lawsuit that was filed against them. They are owned by a company called Henkel Corp, and they are being sued for allegedly deceptively pricing their sale items. The plaintiff's name is Sylvia Garcia, and she says that DivaCurl was showing prices on their website that were inflated. They were regular prices, but they were higher than they should have been. And in that, when they did the discount, they crossed off the regular price and they said it was at a certain discount, but really because the regular price was inflated, it wasn't the right discount amount and that this was misleading to customers. She's asking the court for damages, attorney's fees, and in order to stop Henkel from doing this with their products in the future. Right now, they're fighting over jurisdiction of where the court case is going to take place, so not a lot's happening right this moment, but I'll keep my eye on it. The second legal suit has to do with dupes, and the last time we talked deeply about this was when e.l.f. and Benefit were going at it in court. In that Benefit said their roller lash mascara was copied way too closely by the e.l.f. Lash and Roll, and that e.l.f. was using the reputation of the Benefit product in order to sell their Lash and Roll mascara. And e.l.f. got to court and they were like, yeah, That's exactly what we're doing. You have a really good product and we want to make a lower cost alternative to your mascara. So we are using your branding. They basically said this in court. We're using a similar look to have our product associated with yours. But here was the kicker in that they said that they did it in a very specific way that customers would not be confused, that they wouldn't mistakenly buy the e.l.f. product thinking they were getting the benefit product. That's where the legal piece comes in, is will customers be confused and accidentally buy the wrong product? And the court agreed with e.l.f., mostly due to the outer box packaging, because when you go in the store, you see the outer box. Here's the e.l.f. outer box. Here's the benefit out of the outer box that you see in the store, and you can see very clearly they're extremely different. So that's why benefit lost. That brings us to the current lawsuits that are happening right now. And would you be surprised if I said that both of the ones I'm about to tell you about have to do with MCoBeauty? They're an Australian beauty brand that specifically markets their products as dupes for higher end products. So Sol de Janeiro filed a lawsuit against them for them duping the body sprays. This suit was filed back in November of 2024, and Sol de Janeiro argues that MCo's statements about being just like theirs are false, that their fragrances are inferior, and that the company is misleading consumers while profiting off of Sol de Janeiro's reputation. According to the fashion law, in Sol de Janeiro's viewpoint, quote, what is being marketed as affordability is in reality a systematic appropriation of years of creative development, brand equity, and consumer goodwill by entities with little to no investment in the original innovation. So the second lawsuit that is against MCoBeauty that was filed just this past week on June 6th is Glow Recipe. Glow Recipe is accusing MCo of trade dress infringement, false advertising, and unfair competition for making the Hydrate and Glow Ultra Dew Serum. It is a dupe for their best-selling Watermelon Glow Niacinamide Dew Drops. And I always had said from the beginning with the e.l.f. benefit one that e.l.f. was going to win that one because it wasn't close enough. But y'all, this one, that's real close. That's really, really close. The bottle design, the square label, the way that the words are written on the label, honestly, I would be confused by this. Another point that may be in favor of Glow Recipe is that it's not just the packaging that looks similar, but apparently the marketing is extremely similar as well. Glow Recipe is seeking injunctive relief, monetary damages, asking the court to prohibit MCoBeauty from continuing to sell or market the allegedly infringing products, as well as to order the destruction of all of the infringing goods. The company is also requesting an accounting for MCoBeauty's profits and treble damages for what it alleges is willful, deliberate infringement. They also argue that MCoBeauty's activities have caused reputational and monetary harm, and that unless the court intervenes, the infringement will continue. Beyond that, Glow Recipe is like, they keep copying a lot of our stuff. It's not just this product. There's a bunch of things. So we reserve the right to add other products to this lawsuit if we see that they're doing this with more than just this one product. Now, this was literally filed last week. So this is the very baby stages of this lawsuit. It could be a whole year before we see a conclusion to this. I will keep you posted on both this one and the Sol de Janeiro one and let you know what happens. Moving on from dupes to counterfeit products, I found a really interesting story out of Nigeria and how they are fighting counterfeits in their country, specifically for cosmetic and body care products. Apparently, this is a huge issue in Nigeria, so what they've started doing is putting QR codes on products to check the authenticity. Through their digital traceability portal QR codes, it will enable verification of product authenticity and trace supply chain movements. The QR codes will be able to be used by consumers, retailers, and regulators with real-time access to product origin and legitimacy data. In India, where they tried to do this, The counterfeit QR codes sometimes led to malicious websites that would then install malware on the device that the person scanned the QR code with. So it put consumers at risk in that way, which is absolutely wild and awful. In Nigeria, the FCCPC has stated it's committed to working with stakeholders to implement secure and effective traceability technologies. The Nigerian government has become increasingly concerned about the health risks related to counterfeit cosmetics, along with undercutting of course, the legitimate manufacturers and brands. I really do hope that they figure out how to get this to work. Some kind of real system where we can know 100% whether we have a real product or counterfeit one. And finally, our last legal story. I've talked to you all a lot about how class action lawsuits tend to have these waves of different things that, there's one that has to do with some kind of lawsuit, whether it's PFAS or whether it's, pigments in eyeshadows or whatever it may be. You'll see one and then you'll see a bunch of other ones. The wave that's happening right now is made in the USA claims. This is kind of wild. Because you would think if something's made in the USA, you can label as made in the USA. If it's not made in the USA, you can't label as made in the USA, but it's so much more complicated than that. In recent months, at least 3 companies, Mielle Organics, John Paul Mitchell Systems, and Paula's Choice, have been hit with proposed class action complaints for making use of allegedly deceptive made in the USA labeling. The problem is that even though those companies make things here in the US, in that they have their manufacturing facilities, their businesses are all here, they're importing some of their major ingredients from other countries. There was a rule passed by the FTC in 2021. It was basically like, yes, you can make it here, but you also have to get all of your major components, anything that is a major element of your products also have to be made in the USA, and that's where the lawsuits are coming in. So in the case of Mielle Organics in particular, the plaintiff alleges that the brand's rosemary mint scalp and hair strengthening oil is prominently marketed as made in the USA, except for they get their tea tree oil and their coconut oil outside of the US. So why don't they just get them in the US? It's because we don't make that stuff here in commercial quantities. There's just nowhere to buy it at the scale that Mielle needs, so they have to import it. That particular complaint also has another piece to it about the company's natural and organic claims, citing the presence of synthetic ingredients, and then goes a step further, accusing Mielle of marketing unapproved drug claims in violation of FDA rules. That one is a huge mess. Mielle has been through a lot with that freaking product, man. It is a huge seller for them, but they've been through a lot. The one against Paula's Choice is much more recent, and in that, Paula's Choice is being accused of misrepresenting their 2% BHA liquid exfoliant, as well as a bunch of other products, as being made in the USA. The offending ingredients from Paula's Choice are tea leaf extracts and licorice root, neither of which are made in commercial quantities within the US to the scale that Paula's Choice needs them. Now, when it comes to Paul Mitchell, the plaintiff says they used unqualified made in the USA claims on its products, causing consumers to purchase the products or pay more for them than they would if they had known the truth about their origin of the tea tree line of products. And it's the same thing. We just don't have a manufacturing facility here in the US that makes enough tea tree oil that Paul Mitchell can buy from. And this is the thing. Okay, so let's say that I am making a cake from scratch and I buy the ingredients at the grocery store and I come home and I put everything together, the flour, the sugar, the baking soda, the baking powder, the cocoa, the whatever else I'm putting in this cake, right? And I make the cake in my kitchen. Can I not say that I made it in the kitchen because I didn't mill the flour, I didn't grind the cocoa beans? No, I made it in the kitchen. It doesn't matter that I didn't make the cocoa beans myself. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. But this is the other thing about it, is that it doesn't matter whether the law makes sense or not. If the law is the law, you've got to follow the law, whether it makes sense or not, but until it gets changed. Until we realize that the law is dumb and change it, you still have to follow it. So until then, companies really need to be careful about their made in the USA labeling. If they are not not sourcing major ingredients from US factories and whoever makes the ingredients, then they can't claim made in the USA. That's what it comes down to. And that's what it looks like is happening here. Again, not to be a broken record, but I'll keep my eye on it and I'll let you know what happens. All right, are you ready for some business news? This threw everybody that saw this for a loop last week, very confused in that e.l.f. Cosmetics and Bubble switched profiles. It was weird. You would go to the e.l.f. social media and it would say Bubble. You go to the Bubble social media and it would say e.l.f. And it's like, what is happening? But it was more than just switching profile pictures. This was a post that was put up on e.l.f. social media on June 7th. And if you're just listening, let me tell you what's happening on the screen. So someone is texting somebody, their best friend, and every time they type e.l.f., it autocorrects to Bubble. And every time they type Bubble, it autocorrects to e.l.f., and the person typing is getting increasingly frustrated. Honestly, let me tell you, I thought that e.l.f. was acquiring Bubble. I thought that they were going to be one brand. That is not what happened. It was a promo for National Best Friends Day. It's a collaboration giveaway. That's what it's all about. And actually, the giveaway ends today, which is June 15th. So if you want to enter the giveaway, you can go over to either TikTok account and find out more details there. In other business news, I have another development in the saga of Makeup Revolution that started in alleged shady business and coups, like literal coups within the company. I mean, it has been a hot mess over the last couple of years over at Makeup Revolution. Last we talked about them, they were really in financial trouble because they have this loan, this huge loan that's due in October, and they don't know how they're going to pay for it. There may be hope on the horizon for Makeup Revolution in that a company called the Frasers Group, led by retail magnate Mike Ashley, has expressed interest in acquiring the sinking ship that is Makeup Revolution. The sale process is happening in the wake of a sharp decline in sales over at Makeup Revolution, a whopping 70% plus dip in last year's sales, leading to its market cap to be only 20 million pounds, which is really, really low considering where Makeup Revolution used to be. But of course, this is business. This isn't out of the good from anybody's heart. It isn't anybody having a passion for makeup and Makeup Revolution, and we've got to save this amazing brand. Of course it isn't. So it appears, I should say, that Frasers Group has a financial benefit if Makeup Revolution does well. So they are heavily invested in the department store Debenhams, and Debenhams, I'm probably saying that wrong, sorry British friends, that is a major shareholder in Makeup Revolution. So that's why people think that Frasers Group wants to invest in this company, is to, in the end, financially help them get out of the hole that Debenhams is in. Apparently, they're completing a takeover plan that has already been pitched, but what that means, we don't know yet. I'll let you know. I imagine when you're in the higher ups of a brand, when it comes to marketing, one of the things that's discussed is, okay, so these are the customers that we're reaching. Who are we not reaching? Who are our potential customers that we want to get in front of that could want to buy our products? And one of those previously untapped areas before, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years ago, was the sports marketplace, mostly women who are very much into sports. So brands started partnering with sports teams and with athletes in order to get their products in front of new audiences. Recently, there have been 2 major sponsorships that have happened between beauty brands and sports brands. The first one is Fenty Beauty and the second one is Charlotte Tilbury. Let's talk about Fenty first. Fenty has partnered with the WNBA's New York Liberty, and when speaking about it, Rihanna said, "There's no energy and spirit like New York City's, and the women of the New York Liberty exemplify such beauty, power, and strength. So to have Fenty Beauty and Fenty Skin become a part of their journey this season is incredible." Fenty Beauty was launched in New York, and Rihanna also has roots there and a big love for New York City. So they feel like this is a really good pairing for the brand. At the WNBA All-Star Weekend, Fenty Hair threw a party with a bunch of gift bags full of products. As the official beauty partner, Fenty Beauty logos will be featured on the team's official pregame warm-up jackets, as well as their shooting shirts that are worn for both home and away games. Previous WNBA sponsors include NYX Cosmetics, Mielle Organics, Urban Decay, and Sephora. Moving on to the next one, Charlotte Tilbury has now partnered with the NFL's Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders for makeup, skincare, and fragrance. According to the press release, the partnership represents both brands' mission to bring in confidence and joy to all, along with a dedication to delivering unrivaled performance and next-level endurance. Wait till you hear what Charlotte said about the partnership. I about died. I was like, this is so on brand for Charlotte. Like, I can't even. Here's what she said. The Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders' motto is often imitated but never equaled, which instantly resonated with me. I cannot wait for America's sweethearts to become Charlotte Tilbury darlings. And the way that I wanted to dress up this little angel in a Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders outfit, I thought of it too late and I couldn't get one. But maybe one day we'll get her a little Dallas Cowboys cheerleader outfit because I think she'd look so good. Wouldn't you look so good? Yes, darling. I would look amazing, darling. The partnership will also provide some pop-up events, appearances, and brand takeovers. Charlotte Tilbury touch-up stations will be available at AT&T Stadium during select Cowboys home games, offering fans a fun, elevated beauty experience to enjoy on game days. I mean, I'm all about the sponsorships. Don't get me wrong. I joke, I kid, but I think that it's cool when you get the crossovers of sports and beauty. I got no issues with that. All right, let's do a little mini product report because there are some launches that I wanted to share with you. We're not diving deep into everything that launched at Ulta, everything that launched at Sephora, but just some launches that I found really interesting. So let's start with Glossier. You know, we all know that the body mists are a big thing. Sol de Janeiro did a thing, and now body mists are everywhere. Everybody wants to have the body mist because they're selling. So Glossier wants to get in on that, and I feel like that's really smart of them. They are debuting body lotion, body wash, and body spritz in their pre-existing deodorant scent called Sandstone, as well as a body spritz in a fragrance named Orange Blossom Neroli. The products will range in price from $28 to $35, and they're launching on June 17th on their website, their own stores, and at Sephora. Like I said, I think that this is a smart move on Glossier's part, but what is with that price point? I feel like the price point is just a little too high. Like, even if they brought it down $5 a product, I think they would sell a lot more. I don't know. I could be wrong there. My husband gets on me because I want to pay $50 for a pair of jeans, and he's like, it's not $19.96 anymore, Jen. And I'm like, I know. So maybe I'm just off on that, but it just feels pricey. Does that feel pricey to you? It feels pricey to me. Speaking of body care, let's talk about Tree Hut. Now, I've loved Tree Hut products for a really long time. Their shave oil is my holy grail shave oil. It is freaking fabulous. I know a lot of you love Tree Hut too, but they wanted to create a product that they felt was more elevated. So they are launching a brand called Body, but they're spelling it BDY. The products actually, I should say they already launched because they're now available on the Ulta website. I think they're also in stores, and the target market, this is interesting, is the older consumer with more sophisticated body care concerns. There are 5 products in the line, including a foaming oil body wash and weightless body lotion. Those are $20 each. There's also the overnight body serum for $29, the body serum mist and glow body buff exfoliator, both $26. Key ingredients include glycerin, salicylic acid, squalane, and tranexamic acid, and more. So this is where, so I'm like with them this whole time. I'm like, oh, more elevated, older consumer, more sophisticated body care concerns. I'm like, that's me. Yay, this was made for me. And then I continued reading. It's like, what? They see Tree Hut as a Gen Z and Gen Alpha brand. Okay, I was buying it, but whatever. And then Body, they say they want to hit older people, meaning older Gen Zs and millennials. I'm sorry, what? Gen X forgotten again. Boomers forgotten again. We're still alive. Just so you know, we're still here and we have money. Like, what is happening? Why are you like this, Tree Hut? Why are you like this? But hey, whatever. Brand anticipates that Body's going to sell roughly 15 million products in the first year. I'm going to try and not take it personal. And then this one is a fun one. It brings me back to my college days when I would go out drinking with my friends and everybody be drinking beer. And I don't really like beer that much. So I would order a Blue Moon with an orange slice because it was refreshing and actually quite delicious for a beer. So Blue Moon came out with a lip balm with EOS, and it is limited edition, and it is in a Valencia orange flavor. It's available now only on the EOS website. To my knowledge, it's $4.99. I went over to buy it, and I was sorely disappointed because you can't just buy this lip balm. You have to spend $25 or more on their website in order to get anything shipped to your house. And I looked around, I'm like, I don't need anything else. I literally just want this lip balm for fun. So I exited out and I didn't buy it, but I really wanted it, which is kind of sad. If it ever comes to Ulta, I'm buying it though, just so you know I'm getting it. All right, we are ending today's show not with a TikTok, not with a commercial, but a really freaking cool news story. Do you remember back, when was it? 2024 sometime, maybe it was like spring 2024. They uncovered in Iran this lipstick that was 4,000 years old. If you don't remember, here's Erin Parsons to explain.
This tube of lipstick was recently discovered. It's 4,000 years old, and there was still lipstick inside. Scientists believe this would have been more of like a paste or a cream and not an actual lipstick as we know it today. Now, they actually examined what was inside, and they know the exact mineral breakdown. As the product had dried up over thousands of years, it was a deep purplish pigment, but at the time of use, it would have been a very dark red tone. They put fake colors over each mineral so you can see exactly how much of each one was used. That large red stone was hematite. This made up 80% of the product. It also contained manganite, braunite, and a sprinkle of anglicite and galena. The base of the lipstick was a vegetal wax. The exact measurements of the tube is 2 inches by 3/4 of an inch. It would have been exactly the size of this mini Pat McGrath. You can see the full-size lipstick here, side by side, and from far away, pretty small. In the Turin papyrus from ancient Egypt, you can see she's holding a mirror and what looks like to be a vial, basically holding the tube in the hand with the mirror and then applying that lip paste with a brush.
Well, this past week, researchers found a very similar artifact. They found actual real leftover eye makeup that is about 2,700 years old. Yes, they did. It was found in a small ceramic jar in the Khani Kotor Cemetery in northwestern Iran. But this is what makes it so special. The black powder that was inside, they believe was coal, but it was formulated, it was made differently than traditional coal. It included natural graphite. And what that means is this may be, well, we know it is the first evidence of a shiny black eyeliner, a shiny black eyeliner from 2,700 years ago. Are you serious right now? Of course, they don't know 100% that it was eyeliner, but it sure does look like it. And what they said in the article that was really interesting was that the reason why they think that it had this graphite in there and the manganese is that there's this mountain range not too far from where it was found, and those are minerals that are very easily accessible at this mountain. So they just used what they had. But also, can you imagine the fashion trend when someone figured this out and their eyes are just shiny? Like, I would die. Like, can you imagine how people lost their minds over seeing the first shiny eyeliner? Now, this wasn't found in just any tomb. This was found in a tomb of someone that was elite. They think that it probably was a warrior because of what else they found in it. They found ornaments, weaponry, silver jewelry, horse gear, and decorated items, including a bronze mirror. I love it so much, but there's more. Along with the 2 small containers, they also found 2 ivory eyeliner applicators. What So freaking cool, man. And that, my friend, was what's up in makeup this week. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, thank you to the What's Up in Makeup Facebook hunters. Their names are scrolling below me. Thank you for your submissions this week. I appreciate you so much. Our live chat today will be at 10 a.m. Eastern time. We're gonna be hanging out, talking about things that are happening in the industry. I've finished my declutter series. I still have lots to declutter, don't get me wrong. I still have plenty of eyeshadow palettes and plenty. I'm just kind of tired of decluttering. Okay. Like, I think 5 episodes of decluttering, I think I'm good. So we're just going to go back to our regular conversation of things that are happening in the makeup industry. We may talk about things that happen in What's Up in Makeup today or other things that are going on. So if you want to join us and hang out and talk about makeup, you can join us live if it's during that time period. But if it isn't and you want to watch it on the replay, you can check out my channel page. You can click on the live tab. That's where my live chats are housed. Or if you're subscribed, it should just be hanging out in your subscription feed. Very easy to find. So you should subscribe. How many of my videos have you watched and you're not subscribed yet? You should subscribe. Just hit the button, and then that way it's all in your subscription feed. It's very easy to find. It's convenience for you, and it makes me look cool. So it's a win-win for both of us. Thank you again so much for watching. If you'd like to hang out a little longer just from this screen without having to click, YouTube's going to be recommending 2 videos over here for you. The bottom one is last week's top news segment, in case you missed it, and then the top one is one YouTube's going to pick for you based on what you've been watching recently, what they think you're going to like. But if you gotta go, I get it. It is no problem. Thank you for hanging out as long as you did, and mad love to you. I will see you in a video very soon. Bye.